Welcome back, YouTube, and good morning. So this is going to be a little bit of an earlier video than normal, but I wanted to talk about some of the expectations here that I have for a week, since we're seeing some evidence here based off of some high probability things that we talked about in my previous video. And for one, we're talking about the possibility of us bouncing off of the fib line here and going into our top level and ultimately positioning ourselves for a retest of the high of this cycle so far, and it's working out perfectly, right? And we talked about the possibility of us having a kind of a convergence here with the 14-day and the 72-day. For those of you who have seen the video for the first time, 14 is the yellow line, the orange line here is the 72, and we're seeing a convergence here, right? And this is a perfect setup for what we can have for a great retest, which is when we have a slight dip below the 72-day, pretty much signaling a down trend, but then us being able to catch ourselves off of the fib line and then ultimately crossing back up to the top, signaling an uptrend, and us getting a strong move to the upside here, positioning us for a retest. So what I'm looking for this week for Dogecoin is for us to retest around that 41 cent mark. We've had multiple push downs there on the last reattempt here, even on the decline as we went back down to around 30 cents. We've had multiple attempts here on the daily, so that's going to be where I'm going to place my my eyes here for the next retest before ultimately we retest some of those higher levels here. So this is one thing I'm going to be looking for this week. We're seeing a push upward across the market. We've seen kind of like a push up on Friday in SPY and Tesla, things like that. Even now in pre-market, because it's not even 6 a.m. yet. I don't know, depending on what time you watch this video, but even pre-market, we're seeing some green here and some big pushes here. I think Tesla is around 415, 417 right now as I'm recording this video. So we're seeing ultimately some pushes here as we got kind of like I want to say like a flip-flop, but we got some stronger opinions here from some people in the Fed stating last week that we are on track and they believe that we're going to have a pretty solid year going forward, because as you know, last week was kind of like a sell-off and people were placing puts, and the Fed kind of just came out and I want to say rug pulled it, but they certainly destroyed people's puts here, especially if you had some short term trying to do some quick flips there. You were certainly got your money taken. So same thing here with Bitcoin. We're seeing not very powerful moves to the upside, but ultimately closing in these green days and having a good trend here. So even forming kind of like looking like a bull here with the 14-day. So we're not necessarily seeing those strong moves. This is obviously going to be a big indicator for gauging Doge's move to retest some of that, to retest some of those all-time high levels, not all-time high, but I guess the cycle high, before ultimately we have that breakout. So we're going to need a strong move here from Bitcoin. So ultimately, that's one thing I'm going to be looking for this week, is to get Bitcoin above 100,000, right? Because that's really going to open up a lot of that conversation for us doing some of those retests at the higher levels. Is Bitcoin getting above 100,000, and we're getting there, right? We've had so far, this candle is relatively new, obviously, but since December 30th, so pretty much thus far this year in 2025, Bitcoin has closed higher every day. So we'll see if the trend continues, because right now we're teetering around 98,720. So we'll see where this candle ultimately closes, but that's going to be a major signal for retesting in some of these other coins, is Bitcoin closing above 100,000. So that's going to be one of the things that I'm looking for. I don't think we have any major things as far as for liquidations and things. Let's see. Yeah, pretty even across the board for Doge. Long liquidation, short liquidations, almost even 4 million to 4.4. Nothing absolutely alarming there. I'm pretty sure still 3-1 across the board. Yeah, pretty smooth here on the 530, 1 hour, 4 hour, and 1 day. Long versus short is, for the most part, about 75% long and 25% short, right? Some slight divergence here on some smaller time frames, the 5 minute 73.96 to 26.04, but nothing standing out here. Still overwhelmingly long positions coming in. Again, with open interest, we'll see it down on the 24-hour. Obviously, we can check back in a little later once people start waking up and we can get some of those higher trades in. Most of this information obviously is going to be coming from Binance and Bybit. 2.2 billion. And for us to even, as we talked about last video, one of the things I want to look at before we start challenging some of those higher numbers is getting this open interest dollar amount to at least 4 billion, right? So that's going to be one of the indicators that I'm looking for, as well as getting this getting this dollar amount to around 4 billion. And then we can open up that conversation to challenge some of those higher levels. Not necessarily this cycle's high, but also just kind of gauging that buying pressure to kind of give us like a time frame to expect a run above the levels we've seen thus far on this cycle. So certainly looking for that as well. Let's take a look here at coin market cap. Let's take a look. 3.51 trillion total market cap right now. Doge coming in at number 7. For them, yeah, we're seeing a lot of green here, right? Some slight divergence here on the 1 hour, but overall, even if you look here on the 7 days where we are now, for the most part, we're seeing green. So this should be an interesting week here. I am expecting a push up unless we get some curveball here from the Feds or something like that, or from the White House. We should be expecting a green week here. Again, the fear greed index has cooled off. We are at around 60. We're not even in any of the green levels just yet. So we managed to cool off the fear and greed index without having a major sell-off, right? We had certainly saw a dip here, but nothing extreme here. Typically when we're starting to like to justify any of the bull run is over conversation that's happening right now. So this is very interesting here. So I believe the tone is being set for another run here in the coming weeks. So that's something that we're going to have to look for. Let me read the numbers off. So Dogecoin, 1 hour, 0.14, 24.47 in the last 7 days, 20.68%. You will not get that with the CD. Like, so let me see. What is this? This is yeah, outside of Cardano, I believe Doge is the top gainer in the last week. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Look at this. Bitcoin only returning 5.44% in the last week, and Dogecoin giving about 4x what Bitcoin returned. Interesting, right? So, now saying that to say that, I don't believe that any of these coins have peaked this run, but just kind of keep that in mind going forward when you're looking at these assets. As the run progresses, certainly as Bitcoin, not even just this cycle, but as it hits those higher numbers, the return basis is certainly the multiplier. They're certainly going to go down. Now, I do believe Bitcoin has much more to give in this cycle here. So I'm not saying that. I don't want that to be taken out of context, but just keep that in mind as well. If you're looking for multipliers, that you should certainly keep that in mind, depending on your goals, that it'll take a lot more capital to move Bitcoin compared to some of these cheaper coins. So, and I'm sure that's occurred to most of you by now. So let me check one more thing. Yeah. XRP, yes, the XRP is still sitting above Solana. It's going to be interesting here. Because I believe, I'm still confident that even during the peak bull run that we're going to see Doge back in top 5 right here, and maybe even number 4, maybe even leapfrog XRP. I know there's a big catalyst going around it right now, so we'll ultimately see where things end up, but I still believe that we're going to see Doge above these two here, above BNB and Solana. So certainly top 5. That's what I'm gauging here, especially if we hit some of those numbers we talked about. Let's see, even at $1, put us at 145, which would be 30 billion. So like 37 billion above these two right now. If we're looking at all-time highs, I'll say that for another video. But I'm going to make a case that for Dogecoin that we can still hit top 5 here. So, matter of fact, if you can leave your thoughts about that in the comment section, I'm going to do a poll in the video when it goes live, and possibly, no, and I'm going to do it in the community section because I want to see if the overall majority of you guys believe that Doge is going to be a top 5 coin here before peak bull run. So that's going to be the polling question for today. So with that, that's going to be my opening week statement. I will check in with you guys possibly later today if we get some information or see something interesting. So just let me know what your thoughts are as far as for the top 5 stuff in the polls. Like the video, share it, subscribe if you have not, and I will see you guys in the next one.